When Emma was 7 years old, she put on her favorite birthday dress. She couldn't stop smiling. She ran to her mother, waiting to hear the words every little girl dreams of hearing. "You look beautiful." Instead, her mother looked at her and said, "You look ugly." Emma froze. She quietly walked back to her room, looked at herself in the mirror, and wondered, maybe she's right. That sentence lasted less than 5 seconds, but it followed Emma for the next 20 years. Because sometimes the deepest scars aren't left by strangers. They're left by the people whose love mattered the most. Emma was a bright child, curious, funny, confident. She loved talking to people. She loved telling stories. Teachers loved having her in class. One year, she even won first place in a public speaking competition. She ran home with her trophy. Her heart was racing with excitement. She thought, "This time, Mom will finally be proud." Instead, her mother barely looked at the trophy. Then she said, "Your communication skills still aren't very good." Emma smiled anyway, but something inside her became quieter. As the years passed, the criticism never stopped. If Emma cleaned her room, she had done it the wrong way. If she answered a question, she should have answered differently. If she wore a dress she loved, it didn't suit her. If she laughed too much, she was childish. If she stayed quiet, she was rude. No matter what Emma did, there was always something wrong with it. Eventually, she stopped trusting her own judgment, because when someone keeps telling you that you're wrong, you eventually stop believing yourself. Sometimes, her mother blamed her for things that had nothing to do with her. If a family gathering went badly, it somehow became Emma's fault. If her mother's day had been stressful, Emma was told she had brought bad luck. If something went wrong, someone had to carry the blame, and that someone was often Emma. As a child, she believed it, because children naturally believe their parents, even when they're wrong. The strange thing was, Emma loved her mother deeply. She wasn't trying to rebel. She wasn't trying to be difficult. She just wanted one thing: approval. Every good grade, every achievement, every act of kindness was really an attempt to hear one sentence: "I'm proud of you." But it never seemed to be enough. So Emma tried harder and harder and harder, not realizing she was chasing something she could never earn through perfection. Years passed. The confident little girl slowly disappeared. The girl who once loved speaking became afraid of saying the wrong thing. The girl who once smiled in photos started hiding from cameras. The girl who once believed in herself began questioning every decision she made. She compared herself to everyone, apologized constantly, overthought every conversation, needed reassurance for even the smallest choices. By the time she started college, Emma believed she wasn't beautiful. She believed her communication skills were poor. She believed she wasn't talented. She believed she wasn't enough. None of those beliefs had started with her. They had been planted, one sentence at a time. Here's something most people don't realize. A child's brain doesn't ask, "Is my parent being unfair?" It asks, "What's wrong with me?" Because believing your parent is wrong feels terrifying. Believing you're the problem feels safer. That's how shame is born. Not from who you are, but from what you're repeatedly told you are. Over time, those voices stop sounding like your parents' voice. They become your own inner critic. And eventually, you don't need someone else to tear you down. you do it for them. Emma's self-doubt reached a point where it affected everything. Her health declined, she struggled to stay productive, she withdrew from opportunities she was fully capable of succeeding in. She avoided speaking up, avoided meeting new people, avoided believing in herself. From the outside, people thought she lacked confidence, but confidence wasn't what she had lost. She had lost trust in herself. One day, Emma read a sentence that stopped her. Just because someone gave you a mirror doesn't mean it showed your real reflection. For the first time, she wondered, what if the voice in my head isn't actually mine? Every time she looked in the mirror, she heard, "You're ugly." Every time she spoke, she heard, "Your communication is terrible." Every time she made a mistake, she heard, "You're never enough." Then she realized something heartbreaking. Those weren't her beliefs. They were someone else's words, repeated so many times they had become her inner voice. Healing didn't begin when her mother changed. Her mother never really did. Healing began when Emma stopped asking, "How do I make her finally love me?" and started asking, "How do I love the little girl who spent years believing she wasn't enough?" Whenever that harsh inner voice appeared, Emma paused. She asked herself, who is speaking right now? Me or the person who raised me? Then she looked for evidence instead of assumptions. She remembered the speech competition she had won, the teachers who believed in her, the friends who loved talking to her, the compliments she had ignored for years. Not because she needed outside validation, but because trauma had trained her to ignore anything that contradicted the painful story she'd been told about herself. Little by little, she stopped treating every critical thought as the truth. She learned to replace judgment with curiosity. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" she asked, "What happened to me?" That one question changed everything. Emma started taking long walks, reading, journaling, spending time with people who didn't make her earn their kindness. She learned that boundaries weren't disrespectful. They were self-respect. She stopped apologizing for existing, stopped shrinking herself to make other people comfortable. And for the first time, she discovered something beautiful. The more she accepted herself, the less she needed approval from people who refused to give it. Maybe your story isn't exactly like Emma's. Maybe your wounds look different. But if you grew up believing, "I'm not good enough. I always ruin everything. I have to earn love," ask yourself one question. Whose voice is that? Because children borrow the beliefs of the people who raise them, but adults have the power to question those beliefs, and that's where healing begins. If no one has ever told you this, let me be the first. You were never too much. You were never impossible to love. You were never born believing you weren't enough. Someone taught you that. And because it was learned, it can be unlearned. Real love doesn't make you question your worth every day. It helps you discover it. Protect your peace. Protect your boundaries. And most importantly, protect the little child inside you who deserved kindness all along. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What's one sentence someone said to you as a child that you're still trying to unlearn today? Or what's one thing you wish your younger self had heard instead? If you're comfortable sharing, tell us in the comments. Your story might remind someone else that they're not alone. signing off for today, my Pookies. Take care. Love. Kaj.